Right guys, part 2, welcome back to Show and Tell. Back here with the boys, and we are taking on sports watches. We've done dress watches. Thank you very much for your kind energy and passion for that first episode. We're now getting into sports watches. Tim?
Me first?
Yes, sir, dive in, come on. Pardon the pun.
All right.
Is it sport? No. Is it a diver? No, let's have a look.
Well, I mean, is it a sports watch?
No.
I've put it on a rubber strap.
What is going on?
It's gone absolutely wrong.
What is going on? Sorry.
It's a rubber strap, and I've played tennis in it.
I do love that his reaction is summing up yours as you watch at home.
I'm sorry.
This is absurd, Tim.
So, no, but look at that. I mean,
absurd.
that looks sporty to me. It's 40 millimeters. This is a Monsieur de Chanel in white gold, not the sportiest material, but it's kind of, but it does have a Roman Gautier caliber 1 in the back. It's a retrograde minutes. It's a jump hour, and I don't know. It's something different. It's something that's London safe. Yeah. It's something that I think is quite sporty. I love the way that, like, you'll start a tennis lesson at 11 o'clock or whatever, and you can watch the hour wind away and then click, and I'm gone. Go and do some more work. I love that. I think probably the bit that I like about it most is that it's absolutely haute horlogerie, but it's got a Chanel dial on the front, and so people think, you've got a fashion watch on. And they just don't know, and I love that. I love that. I mean, you guys would know, but most people I meet, they'll look at my watch and think, gosh, who's this guy,
Do you know what? That's what got me thinking in the first round was Cartier, and how Cartier do not suffer from the same affliction that are other brands of that. Now, Cartier, we know is a watchmaker, we know it's a jeweler as well, and it's not a fashion brand, but it does have that same sort of connotation in some people's minds.
I think it did, and I think that was completely wrongly placed in the first place, and I think they're back to where they should be, which is known as, like, they've got absolute heritage in watches.
Whereas these guys, you think of perfume, right?
Yeah, you do, and bags and whatnot, but as soon as you turn it over, you're like, gosh, look at
That's when you realise how serious Chanel is in watchmaking and how far the Chanel money goes.
Absolutely that.
Deep roots into watchmaking now.
And let's not forget F. Pigeon, Roman Gautier, Bell & Ross, and most recently MB&F.
Yeah.
And so probably strategically one of the most interesting groups, we can call them a group, in the watch world now. In fact, they have to be mentioned in the same breath as LVMH and Richemont, surely, and Swatch.
But chuck it on wrist, it feels like a
I've got a
sports watch to
confession.
me.
Can I make a confession here? Because we're going to get called out by it. And we said it's no bullshit, this series. So I did buy this watch, and it's basically unworn. It's absolutely untouched.
Hang on.
It came from Italy. It came from a seller in Italy. Tim and I have been riffing on this watch for years. We've never seen one in such good condition, and quite frankly, never seen the white gold available.
Smelling a rat.
No. Hold tight. This is absolutely clear. I've got nothing to sell.
This could be both Subdial inventory and
it's not.
no one.
I've got nothing to sell except everything.
Hand on
Because I
heart,
have to sell everything to buy something new. So Tim and I bought this, maybe 8 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Tim and I bought this.
Well,
we're joined at the tip. We're joined at the hip.
It's a sort of timeshare
Who's
type
Big
thing.
Spoon and Little Spoon here? Like, what's going on, man?
Love the watch. Unbelievable watch. I just had to sell because, it's always the way. There's something else. There's something next. And I had to sell, and Tim was kind enough to
Well,
buy.
I mean, I wanted it as much as you.
Yeah.
But this is all sounding a bit wrong.
Have a look at that, boys. Come on, have a look
But
at that.
it's just an
I'm
amazing
pleased
watch.
that it's with Tim, and in many ways, that's one of those things that's important to us as watch lovers.
It's a sporty watch. I'll admit that Chanel say on their website, it's 30 metres water resistance, but do not go swimming in it.
I mean, I have so many burns on this watch to take you down, but I'll save them because I do think you brought something interesting to the table. I mean, it's just conversation's the spice of life. We now have some spice. I feel like I don't need to really take you down because, as you said before, it's. I mean, you laughed for a solid 5 minutes at your own choice, which kind of took all my thunder, to be honest.
Where's the strap from, out of interest?
That's one of the new range from D-Lugs in Asia, but it's kind of a rubber sort of what are they, sailcloth?
But it's
sailcloth kind of vibe. Yeah. But I think it matches the watch really, really well.
It actually is I have to say, it's a very sporty dial. Like it sort of looks like a speedometer dial.
Exactly that.
Jump hour. How's the jump hour action? Is it crisp?
Yeah, well, it's crisp and it's clicky, but
can I play?
No. You can. No,
be really careful.
So don't swim in it. Don't use it.
It's really quite a sensitive thing.
It's a sensitive thing, and it does it does jump at about 20 seconds past the minute, which is very un-Langer-like, but you know, when you've had his light work and it all just clicks at 12, that's perfect.
You get spoiled.
This is, it's not quite that.
If we're going to call that a sports watch, I feel like that's croquet. That's not tennis.
I played tennis.
I'd say it's more backgammon. Tim, can I ask you a question? It's personal.
Please.
I mean, the nature of a watch collection reveal is personal. And I do feel like I'm your therapist right now, or counsellor, but do you feel that this could be a phase, Tim? Or is this
It's a little bit
forever
large
watch?
for me, if I'm totally honest with you. 40 mil is a little bit bigger than I like to wear, but I don't know, it fills the same sort of pocket as a Langer does, the 8.5 Langer 1. You've got that brushed mid-case, polished top and bottom.
In the hand, it feels like a Langer.
Yeah, it does.
Quality-wise,
The build quality's there.
And it's different. And I mean, I think you were the one that told me that Bond Street have sold four or five of them ever. Like it's a super rare watch, and the retail price is £44,000. Is a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
But on the pre-owned market, it's much more affordable.
I do like the contemporary finishing on the movement. I mean, it does. You flip it over, it gets a little sexier. It's quite refined on the front, but it sort of means business in the back.
And just a small detail, like at the back of the case, how they just flattened it off where the spring bar sits, so the strap just sits a bit more flush.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice. It's really nice.
Okay.
But I think
we're
you're
all
bringing
agreed
this
then
to a
that this
sports
is
watch
winning
category.
Sports watch, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to veto? Is there a veto card? That
No, I don't think we should veto. I
didn't
think we should
define
Make your own bet on the show.
So-
This will make your own bet.
we open it up to the audience. We let them decide if it's a sports watch or not.
So Tim's
It's
got us
not
with
up
a
to
tiny
us.
Cartier
There we go.
and a Chanel jump. Not sure. Should I go next? Just because we're here. Now I've got, guys, we've not discussed this genuinely. We've not talked about what we bought, but I fear we're going to have a few of these to come. We've already seen one in part one from Tim that he had on the wrist. This is a Tudor Submariner. 10x cooler than anything from Rolex. I've never owned a Rolex, and I don't know that I ever will. And I've had a huge statement. I might get ransacked.
What?
I might get ransacked for that. I've never owned, Tim, you know it, I've never owned a Rolex, and I don't think I ever will. We've only got a few minutes for me to present, so I'm not going to get too much heat. That's why I'm throwing it in there and running. But this is so much cooler because, look, it's got Rolex parts. It's got Rolex crown. It's from the late 60s. It was introduced in the late 60s. The first time they ever used the snowflake hand. First time the ETA caliber was introduced. Of course, it went to the French divers that we know. It's got all the DNA of Rolex, but it's not. Like you were saying with the Chanel, you've got to look a bit closer, which is so much better. On the case back, it's got Rolex case back, Oyster case back. And yeah, what else is there to say? Great thick, puffy tritium
Loom plots.
plots.
I
It's
love
all
the
there.
Met
It's
dial.
all. It's
The
all.
Met
Year
dial's
is that?
fantastic.
What year is it? So 74. So they started producing them in the late 60s. This is 74. And the coolest thing about this was, I know the guy who sold it, and he's a huge sub collector, like they all tend to be, super geeky on the detail. Now, this watch was never sold to the public. It was either given in that year to the water polo gold medalists from that Olympics, or it was the South African Navy. And being South African, I thought, I'm willing to take a punt on that it might be for them. It doesn't have any of the engravings on the case back or inside the case back, although it has service engravings. And Ross Povey, who is the man for these types of things, Mr.
Tudor Collector.
Tudor Collector,
At
at Tudor Collector, Ross, he has assured me that there are a few of these in that range, because there's a register that you can look at, and it falls within
see it on your wrist, please.
in the parameters of. And I have to say, the final kicker is, and I, in no shape or form do I take credit for this, but this Phoenix NATO colour.
Look at the way it works with this.
Man, this Phoenix colour, this sort of blue, I don't know what it is. Is it teal? Is it blue? Is it navy? Is it royal? Is it royal slate?
Yeah.
This is the ultimate colour for NATO. And I'm not a Thule watch guy, but our friend Christian Hagen and our friend Adrian Barker have inspired me over the years to consider that this is a cool look with the beaten up Barber or whatever it might be. And I thought, if I'm going to have one, I'm going to have one. I'm going to have one great one, and it better be the first.
Yeah.
There we are, guys. Any comment?
No, I'm not
I've
going to
just talked
comment.
at you.
No.
Tudor sub.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say? Like,
No, it's
yes,
inarguable.
sir, that is potentially the best sports watch you could buy.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask you to keep it out.
Yeah.
So I can get mine out.
Okay, so Russ, you're next.
Let's
We
double
have-
it up.
Let's have two Tudors next to each
it up.
other there. Go on. Russ, what you got, boy?
So I've got sort of maybe the grandson of yours. So this is a 1995 Tudor sub.
I thought so.
sharp as a blade. Look at it. You cut your dinner with it.
Yeah, I try not to.
Christ Almighty.
So this is blue dial, denim blue bezel. This is from 1995, the 75190.
Snow cone.
What size is that?
36.
36.
Or 36
We are polished, aren't we?
and some change.
Unfortunately.
I think mine's been eroded.
So
by
welcome to the
sea.
Tudor Collectors. Apologies for the content wobbler.
Tudor have kindly paid for this episode. No, they absolutely have not.
Yeah.
So this is like yours, Tim. This birth year for me.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Although it was sold in '96, but introduced in '95, and it's still got the
God damn.
ETA inside of it. Still has the last reference with the Rolex parts. So what you've got the first, I've got the last.
Yeah.
Shows you the continuation. Mid-size, which I absolutely love.
Yeah,
I've got
fits you better.
Yeah, I've got tiny wrists, so I need that
And
mid-size.
the bracelet. Where are you at with the bracelet? Because the fun thing about this model is it looks as good on leather NATO as it does on bracelet, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear that on anything.
Oh wow, look
but
at that. Did
bracelet.
we plan that?
No, not at all.
No.
It's like when you turn up to the Christmas party wearing the same thing.
Yeah,
as
or the
guy
same
that you
Christmas
work opposite,
jumper.
right? Yeah.
It's a
Like we did the other day with the denim
sweaters.
shirt.
Exactly. Yeah, true.
But it's amazing. The thing that's cool about vintage Tudor is that you see so many variations. Look at the
Yeah,
dial, look at the
it's
colours.
different.
Everything's different.
Yeah.
This one to me is I'd never seen anything like this. I didn't know there was a mid-size sub.
And you can get that reference in a range of different dial and bezel
There was a burgundy,
colours.
right?
Yeah.
There's a
burgundy?
no there's
black,
a
definitely.
salmon, there's a black, and there's a silver with the silver bezel as well, which is killer. It's like a stealth Langer. Like a stealth Langer one. It's amazing. But these again still feel very underappreciated to me.
Yeah.
You get a lot of love for snowflakes. These have got Mercedes. You get a lot of love for the full size, mid-sized on this one. And it's in that sweet spot of neo vintage to me, where it's got sapphire crystal, it can take a bit of damage.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I love neo vintage. I'd sort of written about it until my fingers bled because I'm
was made for you.
so
It's the
passionate
sizing,
about
the
it.
proportions,
Yeah,
it was made for
exactly.
you.
Yes, I do have a dirty secret about this watch, and I am going to sell it. It is going to fund an eventual house purchase. It's not going to be an entire deposit.
So if anyone out there would like to purchase a mid-sized Tudor sub, please let us know.
The bidding starts at 6.
6. We'll call it 6. Full set,
Yeah,
unpolished.
full sets. Originally sold in Hong Kong in 1996.
That's stunning. I've seen a few, and that's right up there.
No, thank you. It's I'm in love with it, but it will have to part ways to buy a house somewhere in southeast London at some point.
Gentlemen, I'm a vintage novice, but I do have a question. How could the 1974 Tudor sub have such white loom plots and
This is
hands?
fake.
Well, that answers that. No, this is the 1981. Look at that pumpkin. I mean, that's basically edible, and this one looks suspiciously clean. What's going on, Tim?
No, they have tried different composites for the dial.
Yeah.
And I had one a while ago that was called a Tutti Frutti dial. It had this sort of greens and reds if you get under a loop. And so they just age differently in the same way that Rolex will have their Patrizzi dials in that 5-digit Daytona. Some of the materials just age, and they don't know that at the time, but we know that retrospectively. So you've obviously got quite a nice, well-kept version. Mine's been at the bottom of the sea, I think, for a little while, but I love it, and I love.
That's so interesting, though, isn't it? Looking at the,
Yeah,
you would guess
supplies-
this is younger than this by a long way. You'd
Yeah.
think this is
You would.
10 years older. Yeah.
Lots of different supplies as well, which was important.
Oh,
Both
yeah.
with the paint material, the dial, the crown.
Yeah, but then I think when you get to this stage,
was
they're
quite uniform.
standardizing everything
Yeah,
at that
absolutely.
point.
And what's the loom on that? Is that
Tudor.
is it Super Luminova? Or?
I think
T.
it's just
Oh, T,
yeah,
okay,
it's a
tritium,
T.
yeah.
It's tritium.
Yeah.
But it's sort of
And that's-
just before they get to
Yeah,
Luminova,
that's quite nice. You've got sapphire, but
Yeah.
you've got a little bit
You've
of
got all
age
the
in that
best
right
of
now.
both worlds.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why I love
that's
neo
really
vintage
nice.
like that.
I think one last question that the audience is, maybe it's in their minds, why are there 3 Tudors on the table when
this isn't
vintage
my
Rolex
choice.
is such an almost cliched, I mean, it's well and truly, like it's the subject, and yet we have 3 Tudors here.
Price.
Is it a value for money proposition?
and power play.
Yeah.
Value and power play. There's a power play going on here in a way that Rolex would be obvious.
Yeah, true.
For me,
Price is a good one.
Rolex is becoming too obvious. It's I've got a little bit of money. I want to buy a bracelet, sports watch. You go for Rolex. You play the game, jump through the hoops, and then you buy a Submariner.
Yeah, unless you buy a Chanel, of course.
Well, yeah, there you are.
Well, you can go in and buy a Chanel. That's the difference.
Yes, that's true.
I would argue that this says more about the purchaser than a brand new Submariner. I've thought about. I like the age of it. I like the patina. I like that it's not a Rolex.
I think that was the Rolex boutique calling you, Tim.
Well,
to say that
I'll take it.
Oyster
I'll take
Perpetuals
it.
come in.
The only thing, before we move on, by the way, guys, I just have to say, the only thing that bothers me and worries me is these hands do tend to decay and the material falls out a little bit.
Oxidise.
And it falls out. It literally does fall out
See
like
it
this.
flaking around in
And
the
that
dark.
does worry me slightly about the future. I know you're all in on the Wabi Sabi. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Never going to get it replaced. There's no, you're not.
No, but you can.
You wouldn't.
There are some fantastic people out there that can colour match loom. They can even. They can also match the fade of a tritium dial, a radium too. It's amazing. But no, I couldn't care less. The watchmakers at Subdial have a fit when I pick up something like this because they're like, what about the loom in the movement and all of this stuff? And I just don't care. If it tells the right time, then great. I love it.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Tudor story is done and dusted.
Yeah, we've got
Okay.
one more to go.
And we've got one more to go. Andrew, what do you got, boy?
Half of the sports
Not
watches
another
are
egg, is
Tudor. No, that's the same egg.
He's replaced the egg. He's replaced the egg.
Something very,
Now,
very,
this is a
very
little bit close to home.
different.
This
It is a little bit close
to home for my liking.
I know. You could say that this is self-serving, but no. Look, Zach Blass, who is our US editor of Time and Tide, considers that this is his best and favourite sports watch, and that just plays out in my mind sometimes. I'm thinking, what makes him say that? And I can go through it because there are things about this watch that make it actually not an amazing sports watch. It doesn't have a screw-down crown. It has 100 metres water resistance, so it doesn't have that completely robust 200-metre base. But the things that Zach says about this in positioning it as the ultimate sports watch resonate with me as well. So this is the Zenith Defy Classic Night Surfer, which was a Time and Tide edition with the gradient blue dial, which is the wrap that Justin is like, smell something, I smell something.
We're getting the logo in frame in the background. Get the Time and Tide logo.
I know, I feel like Bamford in Battlefield time right now, which was, try the veal. But no, this, for me, is actually an ultimate sports watch for the fact that it's a microblasted titanium, which means it's super cool and light on the wrist. The weight of the watch overall is very light. It is a Zenith Elite movement, which is in a lot of other LVMH brands. It's a fantastic, almost Bosch movement for Zenith as a movement maker for many years. That's really their strength. So as a three-hander, the movement's absolutely robust. The 100 metres water resistance gives me enough comfort to wear it in the water. And there's just something, for me, sports watches, I do gravitate to titanium. All of the contenders for this, which would be, I was going to bring the Doxa Sub 600T Pacific edition, which was, again, another Time and Tide edition, but I can't help it. Like, my favourite watches are the ones where I've had a little bit of a say in it, which is a real privilege, I know, but I've got to be honest, like, I wanted these watches to exist, and they do now. The other one was that I had a joke that was going to be, this is... I am this guy, and the Norcane Wild one in turquoise is the guy that my girlfriend told me not to worry about. Because the
That's
Norcane...
the watch I thought you were going to bring.
I know. It was so obvious because I've been wearing it. It's the most worn watch of 2024, and that is a spec monster, as in it's super light. It has 200 metres water resistance. It is made of this shockproof Nortec material that makes it a fantastic sports watch. We do have one here, but I did decide to go with this because... this is a watch you can put on at the start of a holiday. This is my contention. For a sports watch, it has to be something you put on the day you land in Sardinia or the Gold Coast or Malta, wherever you're going, and just you get that tan line, which is meticulous to the length.
From the day to the night.
You just don't take it off. It has to be light enough to be like basically slept in, showered in, swum in. Because on holidays you don't really want to be putting stuff on bedside tables, and you don't want to be taking stuff off at the pool as you jump in. You don't want to be taking it off for tennis or sporting activities or at the gym.
Are you wearing that for dinner?
I'm wearing this for dinner. Oh my
Are
gosh.
you?
Because this dial, yeah, oh my God.
The man's having a heart attack.
He's just got dad mode. He's just like, should I activate? I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna do it again. By the way, Tim apologized to me off camera after the first episode, and I was like, what are you
I laid
talking
into you
about?
a little bit.
This is content, man. We're gonna argue. We can't be in furious
Get
agreement.
that one out there. Let's keep it
couldn't
simple.
help.
So no, and this one begins to pop on the wrist. The more tanned you get,
Yeah.
this blue just starts to go
You
crazy.
must get in the pool and see that blue under the water. Just a little inch of water over the top and see it and just goes mad.
It is like I went to Sardinia for the first time this year, and I've never seen water that clear. I'm Australian. Like obviously, we've got Whitehaven Beach. We have Mackenzie Lake in Fraser Island. We have some of the most beautiful translucent water blown out of the water by Sardinia, pardon the pun. And this gives me that feeling of looking down into the water and seeing it get darker as you look down. So it has that gradient. So apologies, it is admittedly a self-own because it's a time and tide edition,
great watch.
and it is sold out, which I should have brought the Norcane really, but oh my
white
goodness,
ceramic.
that with your blue,
Wow.
No, we've had a few.
That's
I think
that's
they're brilliant.
attractive.
It's funny seeing it on
So
time
have you
lapse,
had
isn't it? Just so you get a
that
vibe.
Yeah, not the time
gradient.
and tide
Not
edition.
the time tide one,
But we have had a few of the ceramic case white
Japanese
black.
edition.
Yeah, I mean
this
they're
is different
brilliant.
though. This is the microblasted titanium,
Why
which
is
is on
Zenith
the edge of
not
space.
more well appreciated and recognised? Because it does everything. It does everything you could ever
Yeah.
want. Some
Yeah.
beautiful watch. I wore the El Primero the other
And
day,
history as well,
the
I
original.
think, yeah.
Absolutely
El Primero.
beautiful. Why does it not? It doesn't seem to push on. It's that guy that's a great athlete at school, but just never really gets that contract signed.
If I can put it on the group, which is a bad idea, I would suggest that LVMH don't invest as much in promoting the brand.
Yeah.
They do 50,000 watches a year, compared to a Tag Heuer, which is over 1 million, to a Hublot, which obviously has bigger actual revenue than Tag Heuer. So you've got some monster brands in the LVMH stable. Zenith are a really functional part of the group in that they provide movements to a lot of other watches. I just don't think they're getting the investment. And frankly, they don't really have the marketability of Tag or like the El Primero appeals to us as watch lovers and watch geeks. I'm not sure my dad would say I have to have that El Primero movement because it was the first automatic chronograph. It's like he doesn't care. He's going to get a Carrera or he's going to get a Big Bang, you know.
Star.
Yeah.
He's finding a
See,
star.
and also that campaign didn't do too many favors. But I personally think that as an enthusiast, like we are an enthusiast watch brand, location, time and tide, whether it's searching for content or searching for watches, this is an enthusiast watch brand at its finest. And the microblasted titanium
it's
bracelet, that's the only watch that has it.
about it, hasn't it?
Apart from
it
that,
does.
It's got a bit of Octafinissimo about
I
it.
think Zenith also lacks in sort of the niche side of our community is sort of the academics that have been done and the research that's been done on Zenith and published and put out there. When you look at Tag Heuer on the dash, incredible. What an
Yeah.
amazing resource. And they've
Yeah,
got,
where's a watch Fred or an on the
Yes,
dash
exactly.
for Zenith?
For Zenith, that's what they need.
That's an opportunity.
They need someone like that to really
Yeah.
be their champion in terms of
great
promoting
point.
their history, promoting it. Because we went to
Put it on the
Zenith
wrist, Tim.
manufacturer
Feel
earlier this
the-
year.
This will feel alien, so
Yeah.
hold tight. Let's
Yeah.
just make sure he's okay. It's above 34 mil.
My
so
God.
just hold,
It's a real sports watch.
just hold tight. Just hold tight.
No, it's lovely, man. It's lovely. It's not for me, but it's lovely.
I love the care though. Yeah.
Right, guys.
How does it take scratches and things? I mean, I can't see a mark
Invisible.
on it.
No. It's a bit like a sandblasted titanium. You simply can't see scratches. So that's another thing about a sports watch. I don't like to wear steel. I don't like steel sports watches.
Yeah.
They're too
clunky.
They're too clunky,
Heavy.
and they weigh too heavily on a NATO, and they take scratches. Whereas this, again, it's just completely.
But what about
you
what
couldn't
about
find a
white
scratch
gold?
on it.
Would you do white gold as a sports watch?
Oh my gosh! Well, truly, we really have, as someone watching this video right now, you have some choices to
You
make
do.
Oh, yeah.
because we have the full spectrum, from Tim's jump hour white gold. I mean, goodness
Sports watch.
me, it conforms to no definition of sport in my dictionary.
We've got one Zenith, we've got two Tudors,
Yes.
and we've got a Chanel.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you as always for joining us. Please in the comments let us know what your thoughts are below. And if you'd like to see another episode of Show and Tell, because this really is an experiment.
Yeah.
Gents,
Fun.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
Tim,
us.
do you have any merch to
I do.
share?
Oh,
God, hold on,
you know,
sorry.
You're all, it doesn't say piece of work, but just for you guys, it says says piece unique
Look
because
at
you're all
that.
unique.
Look at that.
Yeah. Or do these come with a Subdial purchase?
They're little gifts
They're not available on
for my friends.
They're not available yet. Published.
No, they're not. No.
But what are they going for on the secondary?
Yeah, we'll find out.
Right. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.